This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, and there is breaking news out of Charlotte regarding the shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott. Police there have decided to release the videos of Tuesday's incident, both the body cam footage and dash cam tape. Chief Kara Putney announced the decision a short while ago.
Today, after having a conversation with the State Bureau of Investigations, the lead agency in the investigation at this point, I've decided that we're at a stage where I can release additional information without adversely impacting their investigation. So now it is appropriate to release this information. In the spirit of transparency, you're going to get everything that we can deliver, facts, footage, and an explanation of where we stand today relative to the investigation.
And as we wait to get those tapes, let's go to Fox's Steve Harrigan, who is live in Charlotte. Steve?
Kimberly, this could all happen within the next few minutes. The chief has vowed to turn over everything, the videotape from the dash cam as well as from the body cam in that shooting Tuesday of 43-year-old Keith Scott. 4 days afterward, the video is going to come out, and there has been tremendous pressure on the chief, on the police force here to release that video. There is a sense on the street, particularly among the protesters, that the police have something to hide. A lot of accusations that the gun might have been planted or that the police killed an innocent or defenseless man. The chief has denied that all along, saying the police acted accordingly. They simply did not want to compromise the investigation by releasing that video too soon. So within minutes, we're likely to see that video, and the chief has warned that the video that will be shown is likely inconclusive. It won't prove one way or the other whether the police involved acted justifiably or not. But in a few minutes, people will be able to see that video and judge for themselves. Kimberly.
All right, Steve, thanks for that update. And again, we'll bring that video to you as soon as we can clear it and receive it. So, Dana, you have a question for Steve?
Yeah, I just feel, Steve, that, unfortunately, we would love to have you on our air, but unfortunately, you're usually in places where there is unrest or these types of stories that you've done, especially in the last several years. And I wonder if you agree, it seems like we are witnessing history, like living through history of a transformational time where the treatment of evidence is changing right before our eyes and quite rapidly, possibly before the laws can change in terms of how you handle these things. Because the police, I don't think, were inclined to release the video, but the pressure from the public was such that technology exists and you might as well release it. And I feel like the police, it even sounded today like in their press conference, they're not quite comfortable with this, but they're willing to do it.
That's right. They are under pressure when you have demonstrators out shouting every night, release the tapes, and a real sense of suspicion that the police might have something to hide. There is a demand for really immediate satisfaction. And the police have tried to make the argument that we have to interview people, and if they've seen videotape of what happened, that could change what they say. So we want a fair and honest interview. But there is pressure for immediate satisfaction. Now the police have decided to turn that over. So in the next few minutes, we could see the videotape of that shooting. Keep in mind, we've already seen one version of it. The family had videotape of their own that they released. The wife, the widow now, actually videotaped that shooting, a very emotional, powerful document. Again, inconclusive, but certainly it galvanized a lot of people out on the street who saw a woman pleading with police not to shoot her husband.
All right, Bowling.
So, Steve, we were listening to Chief Putney's conference there, and at one point he said we're going to release it because there's a lot of information the public deserves to see. And then later on, when he was asked the question, he said he personally did not see, I think you can clarify if I'm wrong, Chief did not see an instance where Keith Lamont Scott had a gun in his hand. So, as Dana points out, this won't be conclusive necessarily unless, I don't know, unless there's a way to take the wife's video and then the body cam and somehow make a case that there was never anything placed at the scene, so therefore what they did find was there in his hand all along. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, the chief has been pretty firm that the officers involved did nothing wrong, according to his view. He's also been firm in saying that there was a gun present. So despite claims from many out on the street that there could have been a plant, the chief is saying there was a gun there, and they will offer proof of that, not just as video proof, but DNA evidence as well.
All right, Juan has a question for you.
Steve, with regard to the gun, it was interesting to hear the chief say in the press conference that there was no reason that Scott should not have had a gun. There's been some question about that, whether or not I believe he was a convicted felon, is what Greg told me at one point. What do you know?
He has 14 arrests in his past. He has an arrest record in 3 different states. At least one of those convictions was for assault with an armed weapon. So he does have a history. According to the police, he was not allowed to have a gun, and there is marijuana also involved in this incident. Keep in mind, initially, the police on the scene there were not looking for Scott. They were trying to find someone else. They noticed the marijuana and then saw the gun inside the vehicle, and things escalated from there. So this was not the man police were originally after when they arrived at that apartment complex.
Unbelievable. Greg.
Steve, I don't have a question about what I haven't seen yet, so I want to ask you about something that I have seen. The criminals, how is the progress going in terms of arresting and prosecuting the mobs who attack those innocent people in the parking garage and the people that destroy property? I know we've been focusing on the police and their behavior, but do we know anything about the rotten people who beat innocent people up?
There have been a number of arrests, 11 more last night, and police are using video footage to actually figure out who was behind some of that window smashing and looting and capture those people. And keep in mind, too, as the city of Charlotte is taking a real bad hit in its reputation, that things have changed over the past 2 nights. We've had 2 nights of violence, but the last 2 nights, peaceful, organized demonstrations, and the numbers are not huge, just about 500 people out last night at their strongest point. So the question now is this newly released videotape going to inflame things further, turn people against the police, or will it be, as the police chief said, inconclusive, and we can see things continue to peter out here on the street as far as violence goes?
All right, Steve, we'll ask you to stand by. We're going to take it around the table here as we await the release of that important, crucial evidence. Hopefully we'll put some light on this whole situation and maybe make some of the people feel better. So, Dana, some thoughts on this. They're going to be able to release some of these important forensics, which is going to be another vantage point of the crime scene, of the forensics, of what was present at the scene, some of the evidence that they would need to process and tag right away, you know, in close conjunction with the time frame of the crime. Do you think that's going to provide any kind of, I guess, reassurance to the community that the police didn't do something wrong here?
Well, we'll have to see. We haven't seen the videotape yet, but I believe that the Putney was being as honest as he could be and as forthcoming as he could be. He did say, Kimberly, that no officers will be charged. He said that definitively, and I was curious about what you thought in terms of, since you know that when crimes are committed, it's not, everybody has a different perspective. You're dealing with human beings who might remember something differently. We do have some videotape, not all of it, but if you were the prosecutor, the DA in this case, or if you're making a decision about officers being charged or not, what do you do before this technology when you are weighing those different things? I'm fascinated by this change and how quickly it's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable because now you have everybody with social media and phones on their cameras, so there's an ability to be able to, in real time, document things as they occur. So the first thing you want to do when you find out that the suspect's wife had a video and had it on her phone, you want to get that so it's not tampered with. You want to preserve that and lock it in for evidence. You want to preserve the crime scene so people don't say, hey, somebody planted this, right? But you also have to do the regular, like, run-of-the-mill processing of forensics. You're going to look for any kind of material like DNA, fingerprints, all the things that are going to need to go to the lab. In a situation like this of heightened public concern, you're going to ask for a quick processing, a quick turnaround. You have the FBI, the State Bureau of Investigations, a number of agencies, the DOJ involved. So that allows you to kind of like speed up, you know, the
But it also makes it a little bit slower.
Well,
like the law enforcement can't keep up with what the public is demanding.
Right, because she had her tape out first. So now it's actually put the pressure and put the you know, the pedal you know, on the gas to say, hey, you need to release this because all we right now have is hers. And I think they're in trouble because, especially with the rioting going on, that people are going to respond to that emotional video where she's begging for the life of, you know, her husband, please don't shoot him, please don't shoot him, and she's saying he doesn't have a gun. Well, then they're hard-pressed because they have to provide some evidence to the contrary to show that this wasn't a case of, you know, police overreaching, of brutality, of planting evidence. There's a lot of allegations out there. Greg.
Yeah, I mean, if the tape, again, is inconclusive. And if you want this to matter or have an impact, you have to be dealing with minds that would be willing to change, and I just don't see any minds refusing to bend on this. So when you present facts, the facts that dispute the larger story get thrown aside. For example, the 14 arrests may have nothing to do with that, but it does give you an influence into what kind of behavior in terms of compliance. With somebody with 14 prior arrests, what kind of compliance did he present? The job of the police officer is to deal with non-compliance. And unfortunately, when reporters look at things like this, they don't see the job beginning until the camera's on. They don't see what is going on before that, and they don't see the reaction that police are reacting to non-compliance.
But Greg, you can't shoot somebody dead for non-compliance.
No. If non-compliance could mean anything. What I'm saying is if they're trying to do their job and he doesn't put down a gun, that is non-compliance.
Yeah, well, if it's a threat to the police, the question is, was there a way to neutralize this situation without it ending with a human being dead?
Yes, and
I think that's a pretty radical solution to non-compliance.
And we focus on the behavior of the police all the time as they're trying to do probably the most dangerous job in the world.
You know, I have total respect for that, and I appreciate the fact that the police protect me. I mean, I appreciate the fact that the security protects me here as I do this show.
Especially with me around.
Check it out. I need some protection. What I'm concerned about is, again, we are focusing on the minutia here. This is not an episode of Law and Order or forensics and blood and did he have the gun and what does the video show.
But those are facts.
That's fine. But we have got a national crisis here when it comes to the black community's feeling that the police nationally use excessive force when dealing especially with poor people, but specifically poor black and Latinos, and even more directly with young black men.
But Juan, so that is that's the larger story.
Right.
That when you present the larger story, the specifics just kind of drop off.
No,
they just flake away.
They don't drop off for me. But what I'm concerned about is that in specific that we, you know, like if you listen to Donald Trump, it's a law and order message. Back the police, back the police, back the police. And then if you listen to Clinton, Clinton is saying, well, I want to make sure that you hear the voices, like that woman that Dana was talking about yesterday, where she's saying, I don't want to just be sitting in my car and some guy come up and pop me and say, oh, I was a cop, I made a mistake, or I thought the person had a gun.
But Bowling, in this particular situation, the facts don't support the
let's
narrative.
get right back to this situation, because I will, again, push back on Juan's assessment that any group is more targeted than others or dies at the hands of cops more than others as a percentage of the crimes violent crimes they commit. That's the facts. Those are the numbers. However, getting back to this, for the better part of 2 years we've been talking about, and on this show, the use of body cams.
Yeah, you brought it up.
We've been pushing this for a long time. There's a $50 million program by the federal government that matches. So if a local municipality, a police force, wants to put up X amount of dollars, the feds will match that with X amount of dollars up to $50 million. That number should be triple that or quadruple that, because this could save lives and could save property damage with multiples of the $50 million. It'll also exonerate good cops and speed up the prosecution of bad cops. You know, if there's an issue, you'll know it right away. One cop here, according to Chief Putney, only one cop had a body cam. Why didn't all 3 or 4?
But they also had a dashboard.
Yeah, but you want the body cam. If you're going to be a shooter,
might have been the lead option.
Well, I'm all for you. I just want to tell you that when I talk to police chiefs, the police chiefs say to me, hey, Juan, we're glad they have the body cams, but who's going to pay for the storage? Who's going to pay for the process?
That's the point, is the price.
But we pay for a lot of stupid
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to see. The body cams were hardly, you know, big issue, pressed a lot by the public. One of the officers had it on, so we're going to get that reveal pretty soon. We're going to continue to monitor the situation in Charlotte. As soon as those videos are released, we will bring them to you.